Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of my evaluation and management coding series. Today, we are going to be covering the examination component. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Victoria Mull. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, content contributor, and content creator in the medical coding field. Last week was the first of my 4-part series on evaluation and management. I'm going to cover history, examination, medical decision making, and then putting it all together. And today we're going to be discussing the examination component. I'm very excited about this. I was a little bit afraid I was not going to be able to have time to record an episode this week because it's just been super busy, a lot going on, a lot of channel stuff, a lot of LinkedIn stuff, a lot of work stuff. Plus, I, in life, adopted a dog just this week. His name is Loki. He is a 4-month-old pit bull. I am as shocked as anyone else that I adopted a pit bull, especially working in plastic surgery for so many years. You can imagine that I've seen quite a lot of dog bite cases. But my friends all gave me a lot of recommendations, and it's a puppy. He's super sweet, but like all puppies, just getting into stuff and learning about what he is and is not allowed to chew on in the house. So that's been a lot of fun and excitement going on in my family. But thankfully I found time to carve out in between all that excitement going on. So let's talk about examinations today. There's 4 levels of examination: problem-focused, expanded problem-focused, detailed, and comprehensive. And there tends to be some disparities between what is considered an expanded problem-focused and what is detailed. Now, exams are probably my least favorite part of evaluation and management because there's a lot of discrepancies about how you score them out. And I'm not just talking about our 95 and 97 guidelines, but let's start there. 1995 was the first time that Medicare released their guidelines to evaluation and management coding, how to score out an E&M. So the history of the exam, medical decision-making time, and what counts. What counts as a comprehensive history? What counts as a detailed examination? What happened, though, was a lot of the specialties felt that they weren't particularly fair to what they were looking at, what a cardiologist looks at, what a urologist looks at, so they developed in 1997 a revision. They developed the 1997 examination guidelines, and some of them are specialty specific, and they do count a lot more and can get better higher levels for some of those specialty services. If you go back and picture 1997, a gallon of gas cost $1.23. The most popular song of the time was like "Mbop" by Hanson. This was back when the Spice Girls were still together. And the most popular movie of the time was Titanic. Back in 1997, I was still in middle school raging against the machine. In 97, it was the first time that we cloned a sheep, and there's been a ton of technological advances since then. Urgent care centers didn't really even exist a lot back in 1997, and telehealth was definitely not a thing. So now 2021 is going to be the first time that we have really seen a big change in evaluation and management since they did those revisions in 1997. Now, the 1995 guidelines, there you can see them on a lot of the commonly seen scorecards that you have for evaluation and management. I have all of my scorecards laminated. If you do not, you can get them laminated at like an Office Mac. I didn't even realize this. I just found this out recently. Laminators have really come down in price. So you can buy a laminator and like 50 laminator sheets on Amazon for about $30. So you can laminate all of your scorecards to your heart's content. Currently, whatever you score on, 1995 or 1997, a provider will get credit for whichever they score higher on. So if they get a better score on 97, but they didn't get as good as 95, you'll score it on 97 and give them the higher credit score. Our 95 guidelines go based off of either body areas or organ systems. I always suggest that my primary care providers at least kind of sculpt their exam templates more on the organ systems versus the body areas, because the body areas aren't things that they commonly document because it's things like genitalia and back and each extremity. I'm going to throw up the exam so we can take a closer look at them on the screen. So if you see your body areas, they're head, back, chest, genitalia, abdomen, each extremity, and neck. So if you count them out, there's actually only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And for a comprehensive, you would need 8 or more body areas or organ systems based off of the 95 guidelines. So where that actually differentiates is that each extremity is counted one time for each extremity. So you get 1 for your left upper, 1 for right upper, 1 for left lower, 1 for right lower. So that's where you can get 8 or more, you count it each time for each extremity. And then your organ systems are constitutional, which can include your vitals: eyes, ears, nose, throat, cardiovascular, respiratory, GI, GU, musculoskeletal, skin, neurologic, psych, and then heme, lymph, or immuno. Now, the bane in my existence with exams is what is considered a detailed exam, because we have some coders that have very strong opinions about what is considered a detailed exam, and it's not that straightforward. A lot of auditor scorecards, like the one I have here, say that an expanded exam is 2 to 7, and a detailed exam is also 2 to 7. If we look at our 1995 documentation guidelines, it says an expanded problem focus is a limited examination of the affected body area or organ system and other symptomatic or related organ systems, whereas a detailed examination is an extended examination of affected body areas and other symptomatic or related organ systems. So really the key here is that limited or extended. The other thing you have to realize is there are several different Medicare administrative contractors who each have different definitions on their website of what they will count as a detailed examination. So here's the map of the breakout of the different Medicare administrative contractors. So CGS Medicare, for example, says that they count a detailed exam as an extended exam of the affected body, region, or organ system, similar to what the 1995 guidelines say. NGS Medicare says 2 to 7 areas or systems with expanded documentation of the areas and/or systems examined, and it requires more than checklists and needs to have normal or abnormal findings expanded upon. I'm not 100% sure about Noridian because I could not find it on their website, but I have heard from other coders that they count an expanded exam as 2 to 4 body areas, and then a detailed is 5 to 7 body areas or systems. I did find this interesting bit though on the Palmetto website where it says that a detailed exam requires more detail, and that more detail refers to the extent of the exam. The level of detail involved in an exam is a clinical judgment based on the documentation for each individual medical record. There is an expectation that the exam will be more involved and therefore more documentation would be submitted for a detailed exam. The documentation for a detailed exam would consist of at least 2 findings for at least 2 body areas or 2 organ systems. It can be very subjective as far as what in detail could be. Some could even argue that anything more than cardiovascular negative, respiratory negative is an in detail comment. And then there's Novitas, which is my area. Novitas has what is referred to on their website as the 4x4 exam rule, which means you need to make 4 different comments in 4 body areas or organ systems for it to count as a 4x4 exam rule. So let's think about this. Pupils are equal, they're round, they're reactive to light and accommodation. So that would be 1 body area that we have 4 comments on. So we would need 4 body areas with 4 comments like that in order for it to count as a detailed 4x4 exam for our Novitas providers. So that's some of our disparities in our 1995 examination guidelines. So let's take a look at 97. So our 1997 guidelines break down, there's a lot of different types that you can use. If you're just a general practitioner, you might want to look at the general multi-system. The problem I always have with general multi-system is it is a bullet system. And in order to count the bullets, it has to be really exactly what is on that bullet. So for our general multi-system, in order to get a detailed exam, they would need to have either 2 bullets in each of the 6 body systems or areas, or a total of 12 bullets in 2 or more body systems or areas. So one of the things about the 1997 exam is that it goes by bullets, and you have to have exactly what is listed on that bullet. One of the examples I like to give providers is I'll see a lot of times abdomen, normal bowel sound. If you look at your 1997, there's no bullet that says anything about bowel sound. So under 97 guidelines, you don't get any of the bullets, you don't get credit there. You would get credit under 95 under either abdomen or GI, but under 97, since there's no bowel sound bullet, you don't get credit. This is why I always tell my providers, if you're going to build a template, build a 95 organ system template. So there's at least 5 different ways to score out a detailed exam. And here's where I get upset, is that we have pre-employment examinations being given to coders for E&M, and they just tell you code all these cases, and they don't tell you anything about what jurisdiction it is. They don't tell you what they consider a detailed exam, and that's unfair, because if you're in, like me in my wonky Novitas area, I could look at that and score out a completely different examination than someone else who works in an area where they just go by 2 to 7 with 1 in detail, or someone who works in an area that is 2 to 4 and 5 by 7 is detailed. That's completely unfair to give someone a pre-employment examination on evaluation and management coding and not give them those sort of details in order for them to code it out correctly. Honestly, it makes me a little bit scared about the people that are creating some of these pre-employment examinations in the first place. Some of the MACs are really savvy, and they have interactive scorecards that you can use online to pick out your level of service and your exam. So check those out. That's the examination component and all the disparities involved. So make sure you are checking with those MACs in the area of the service that you are coding for, so that you know what are they considered an expanded exam versus a detailed examination. Really hope you like this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you never miss another episode. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, just keep on coding on.